All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Today we are coming to you from the SHOT Show floor 2026. We are at the Otis Technologies booth. It is America's gun care, proudly American made. So we want to thank Otis for letting us use the booth. They got a podcast booth here and let us do some shows. And right now I have with me Sarah Joy Albrecht. You are such a good human. When I get around you, I'm like, I really am not the person I could be or should be because you are such a good person.
Wow, that's quite the introduction.
I know. I'm going to save that for my parole officer.
I always feel bad because I always give you a hard time because, you know, I care about you. So I feel like sometimes I tease you too much. But
this is what I tell other people. When people tease me, I say, these are my friends.
Yes. But I have to say, Charlie, that you dish it out as well.
Oh, I do. Absolutely.
So it's really all in good fun.
It is all in good fun.
Yes.
It's the bad thing that's going to happen is when they stop making fun of me or cracking jokes or stop the back and forth.
You don't ever want to become obsolete. You know?
I do not.
Yes.
I do not.
Yeah. Like the Eminem song. That what is it? There's a line in it. I'm gonna just botch it. Great, but it's like about being discussed. It must be whatever.
I'm an old fat white guy. I don't listen to Eminem.
Although I think that's a really old song, Charlie.
I wasn't his demo back then either.
Okay.
I was back. What was he? The 90s? Yeah, he was the 90s, early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, I didn't listen to that stuff.
Mom Spaghetti. Then. Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know. Is that code for something?
No, it's just
All right.
Look it up.
Okay. This is my homework.
Good. It's your homework. Well, what we do, I'm with. I started Hold My Guns, which is a nonprofit in the firearms community, and we partner with FFLs and provide voluntary firearms storage, no questions asked. And we started that in 2018. And we continue to grow and we continue to pivot in cool ways that we are educating legislators about voluntary firearms storage. We're helping our community understand how this is a pathway that we can actually help to preserve rights and push back on gun control that can make it hard for people to store firearms. And we help to teach suicide prevention in our firearms community to firearms instructors. And we help make people laugh because,
usually at me, that's okay.
That's not our stated mission. But here's the thing is when you're in the space of suicide prevention and caring for your community, this is not gloomy work. We want for people to know that their community cares and that we want for people to wake up the next day. And we want to give people a reason to want to wake up the next day. So anyway, humor, it just ties into all that.
And this is what makes you all a better person than me. So yeah, that's you do. It really is. This is what I've noticed. There are other organizations or groups or companies or whatever they are that have started following your footsteps, and I'm like, no. They shouldn't be doing this. This is Hold My Guns thing. Right. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Because I know there's I was listening to a podcast a couple years ago and there was somebody that was doing something similar. And then you hear another show where somebody's doing one. You hear about it somewhere else. I'm like, no. This is all Sarah Joy stuff. This is her baby. And this is where all of it comes from.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really an interesting thing to be a pioneer in that. And the reason why I started Hold My Guns is because we lost an 18-year-old friend to suicide by firearm. And I just realized there wasn't really a strong pathway for gun owners to store their firearms if they ever needed to get them out of the home. And I wanted it to be really accessible. And, as a gun owner, my local gun shop is one of my favorite places to hang out. And so I figured, why not offer something from within our own community? But there was not a legal pathway for that to happen. And so I actually, back in 2018, cashed out my Bitcoin, which I don't want to look at how much I lost on that, but it was worth it. And so I hired Joshua Prince, who's an amazing Second Amendment attorney, and he's with Firearms Industry Consulting Group in Bechtelsville. And
he does biannual machine gun shoots.
Which we've gone to,
Been
Charlie.
to one,
oh my
yes.
goodness, I went to the one this year. Is phenomenal. It's so fun. Yeah. And shout out to DNA Guns because they have the best collection of machine guns and they're always at his shoot. So
that's awesome.
they're fantastic. Abe Price. So if you see Abe,
All right.
yeah, he's a good guy.
So we got Josh on board.
We got Josh on board, and he met with the ATF, and they helped to develop a process that FFLs can store firearms. And prior to that, if a gun shop was just kind of storing a firearm under gunsmithing, what was happening was that like an ATF officer would come in for like a spot check, and they'd be like, "Hey, that firearm's been sitting there. There's no work being done on that. Like, what's really going on here?" Or they would just take a customer's firearm and it's like, "All right, buddy, we'll hold on to it for you." It would be like under the counter, but not accounted for. And so they would get in trouble for that. And it was just sad because they're trying to do the right thing and to help their customers, but it was causing problems. And so I learned about all of that. And I was like, we actually have to come up with a way that's not going to get FFLs in trouble. So anyway, the ATF, they helped Josh develop this process. We implemented it at Hold My Guns. And then the cool thing is in 2023, so years later, the ATF sent out a letter to all of the FFLs and said, here's the lawful process for you guys to store firearms. And now any FFL, they don't have to be a Hold My Guns FFL partner, but they can store firearms and do it in a way that is in compliance with regulation. And, you know, there's some things we say, Charlie, like, I shall not comply, right? But when it comes to making sure that FFLs can still function, they have to, they're licensed firearms retailers. So they have to be careful about, are they doing things in the correct way? And that's kind of where that compliance piece comes in. So now any FFL can use that process and store firearms. However, the Hold My Guns FFL partners, they are ones that we have vetted and that we know that they genuinely care. They have good ratings. They care about their customers. They have been taught suicide prevention. They are active in the community, and they see their role as a protective factor in the firearms community. So they're good people, and it really sets apart our storage partners from an FFL that just might like try to just store firearms for someone just because they can.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah.
This is good stuff you do. In Massachusetts, we had a law passed last year that is going to add a suicide prevention component to the licensing course, and I don't know if this is something you know anything about, or if you have something that some sort of 7 to 8 minute video. The unfortunate thing is the Commonwealth of Massachusetts does not know what they want. Right. They're like, we're going to make this law, and then what does this law mean? Like, we don't know what this means. Okay. So they have to add this by April of 2026. Okay. And I when all this went down, I was like, I want to find my people that can produce something and have them in there and have them contribute to this. And I haven't heard anything from the state police or the legislature or whomever we're supposed to hear from about this. And I think it'd be great if you guys had something like that. Do you guys have something like that?
Let's make something like that. Tell me what you think the requirements should be. Now, I want to be very clear when I say the word requirements. I don't think that there should be a requirement that you have additional education in order to be able to carry a firearm. Boom. So, just saying that's an infringement. No, it's. However, I think suicide prevention is good, and I think if it is a requirement, that as long as people understand, like, you know, that you should have the right to have a firearm regardless of how much training you've had, because it's a right, then yeah, let's make a video, encourage people.
It is really hard to talk to people that are gun agnostics and tell them you shouldn't have to have training, because then they hear, well, you should learn how to shoot. Yeah, you should.
You should.
It shouldn't be
There's
a requirement.
No dichotomy there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And it's I hate saying it's a hard sell with people, but some people it is. You should know how to shoot. All right, you should know how to shoot, but you shouldn't have to have training. It shouldn't be your state requirement, but you should do it.
Right.
But there's a lot of people, and I got hip to this a couple years ago. I don't remember who it was. I've read an article, probably on Bearing Arms. I think it was by Tom Knighton, that talked about having training versus not having training. And what people do is when the state says this is what the requirements are, that is often the minimum that people do. And I know this for myself from having
good point.
from having an instructing business. People take class, and then I'm like, call me up. We'll do live firing. We'll go gun shopping. We'll take you to the range. We'll teach you how to use your gun, and clean it, and shoot it, and everything. And I never hear from them again. So I'm like, my business model's failing. But people don't seem to seek it out. And if it's not part of the requirement, then they're probably not going to do it. Which is the whole weird thing of it would be good to do, but it should be required.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange catch-22.
Yeah.
However, you don't want to create barriers for people to be able to exercise their right. So.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any new stores?
Let's see. We don't have any new ones since the last time we spoke. However, I have a very good lead on a good attorney in Connecticut, because the first thing we have to do is create a contract that is compliant with state law. So anything pertaining with transfers, you have to make sure that you're compliant, right? Mm-hmm. So at SHOT Show, good friend of mine, and I'll let her share who it is eventually, but she actually has an attorney who's willing to volunteer his time, and then she has 10 FFLs that want to on board. So that cool thing is happening. We also, thanks to donations, we're able to hire an attorney in Oklahoma. There was a great connection with CCW Safe and Women for Gun Rights. And so as of 2 weeks ago, we have a Oklahoma compliant contract. So now we can onboard Oklahoma FFLs. Yeah. And then also we're doing work in Ohio to onboard FFLs there. And one of the interesting pathways to all of this is that legislators are starting to learn more about voluntary firearm storage, and they want to figure out how, our constituents really like this, and it might be a little bit more palatable than an extreme risk protection order, and we want to be able to help people. So let's help reduce liability to FFLs. And as they're having that conversation, my alerts are going off, and so I'm following up with different representatives and saying, hey, let's talk about this. Tell me your thinking behind this. And so recently in Ohio, Senate Bill 273, that came across my desk. And in that was some language that the Attorney General would be, it was well-intentioned, but it said, okay, voluntary firearm storage, reduce liability to FFLs. But there was wording in that said the Attorney General would be the one drafting the contract for storage. And in that contract would be make, model, and serial number, and information about the gun owner, and potentially even places on that form where people can collect even more data, like why are you storing the firearm. And so I got a hold of this, Charlie, and I called Senator Kaler's team. I said, I really appreciate that you want to reduce liability to FFLs. And I really appreciate that you want to have a pathway that there's someone responsible for it, like the Attorney General. However, you're unintentionally creating a gun registry here, because now the Attorney General has your list of firearms and your contact information and maybe even additional information about you. Yeah. And he's like, well, what do you think I should do? I said, take it out. He took it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
He also added privacy protection for gun owners. So it gives autonomy to that gun shop as long as you're compliant with the ATF regulations for storage, which, again, 2023, they listed what that is for FFLs. But it lets the FFLs make the decision on what they want their contract to look like. But it took out the government involvement, their fingers in it. And that unanimously passed at end of January or middle of January, right before SHOT. And it's going to go before the House in February. And I hope to go testify there as well. I testified as a SME for it to go through the Senate. So anyway, but unanimously passed. And what my hope is that now that we're shifting to more of that advocacy space and education. We're a 501c3, but these things are really affecting our work. Yeah. So this is an opportunity to say we've been doing this for a while, and you should know this if you're going to draft legislation. My hope is that we can set a precedent that reduces liabilities to FFLs, and that will carry over into other aspects of their business as well, and kind of push back against even some of the terrible laws that came across in Washington State where it makes FFLs, it's called a nuisance law, where if there's any kind of crime that it has a firearm involved, that gun shop can be liable. And because they have extra weight as being deemed a nuisance. So it pushes back. It's like saying, hey, FFLs are actually heroic and they care about their community. And so instead of criminalizing and stigmatizing gun owners, we want to show that the firearms community is a protective factor. And that's where my work has been in this past year or so, in addition to running Hold My Guns. But, yeah.
And this is what makes you a better person than me. All right, listen, we need to wrap things up.
Okay.
Where can people find you and all the stuff that you're up to and all the great things you're doing?
Thanks. You can find us at holdmyguns.org and on our socials, holdmyguns.org. And keep your eyes out on our website and our socials because we have a great collaboration going with Page 50, and they're a media marketing company, and we're going to be doing a brand refresh. So coming up, I think end of February, we should have a new look.
Something new. I can't wait to share it with everybody.
It'll be fun.
All right, listen. Thank you very much, Sarah Joy, for joining us. If you've enjoyed the show, please share it with your friends because that is how we get the Stagecoach across America. I want to thank Otis Technologies. They are America's gun care, and they are proudly American-made for hosting us here at the SHOT Show in 2026. And we will talk to you guys soon. Thanks a lot.